Good evening and welcome to our story reading session. And I think tonight's story is going to be extraordinarily good. That's what I prima facie make of it. First look, it's about, let me see, 264 to 285, 21 pages long in this book. The story is titled Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright. Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright. And it is from this book, Collected Short Stories of Ruskin Bond. So let us start. I like this story even before I start reading it. Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright. On the left bank of the Ganga, Ganga is the original Sanskrit name for the river, and the Englishman calls it Ganges. So on the left bank of the Ganga, where it emerges from the Himalayan foothills, there is a long stretch of heavy forest. These are villages on the fringe of, I think there it should be there. There are villages on the fringe of the forest inhabited by bamboo cutters and farmers, but there are few signs of commerce or pilgrimage. Hunters, however, have found the area an ideal hunting ground during the last 70 years, and as a result, the animals are not as numerous as they used to be. The trees, too, have been disappearing slowly, and as the forest recedes, the animals lose their food and shelter and move on further into the foothills. Slowly, they are being denied the right to live. This is very sad. So, human beings are cutting the forests and killing the animals, and thereby the animals have to go away from their original lands. This is what happens in every place. Even the original people living in a place are killed and driven away when the more powerful man comes. Like what happened when the white man came to the American continent. They killed the native Indians and drove them in. Now the native Indians are confined to reservations. Okay, let me not go into that. Hunters, however, have found the area an ideal hunting ground during the last 70 years, and as a result, the animals are not as numerous as they used to be. The trees, too, have been disappearing slowly, and as the forest recedes, the animals lose their food and shelter and move on further into the foothills. Slowly, they are being denied the right to live. Only the elephant can cross the river. And 2 years ago, when a large area of the forest was cleared to make way for a refugee resettlement camp, a herd of elephants, finding their favorite food, the green shoots of the bananas, in short supply, waded across the river. They crashed through the suburbs of Haridwar, knocked down a factory wall, pulled down several tin roofs, held up a train, and left a trail of devastation in their wake until they found a new home in a new forest which was still untouched. Here they settled down to a new life, but an unsettled, wary life. Wary means always on guard. They did not know when men would appear again with tractors, bulldozers, and dynamite. So sad. There was a time when the forest was on the banks of the Ganga. There was a time when the forest on the banks of the Ganga had provided food and shelter for some 30 or 40 tigers. But men in search of trophies had shot them all, and now there remained only one old tiger in the jungle. Very sad. Many hunters had tried to get him, but he was a wise and crafty old tiger who knew the ways of men, and he had so far survived all attempts on his life. Although the tiger had passed the prime of his life, he had lost none of his majesty. His muscles rippled beneath the golden yellow of his coat. How nicely he is describing. His muscles rippled beneath the golden yellow of his coat, and he walked through the long grass with the confidence and majesty of one who knew that he was still a king, even though his subjects were fewer. His great head pushed through the foliage, and it was only his tail, swinging high, that showed occasionally above the sea of grass. In late spring, he would head for the large jheel. Jheel means lake or large water body. In late spring, he would head for the large jheel, the only water in the forest, if you don't count the river, which was several miles away. And this jheel was almost a lake during the rainy season, but just a muddy marsh at this time in late spring. Here, at different times of the day and night, all the animals came to drink. The longhorned sambar, the delicate chital, the swamp deer, the hyenas and jackals, the wild boar, the panthers, and the lone tiger. Since the elephants had gone, the water was usually clear, except when the buffaloes from the nearest village came to wallow in it, and then it was very muddy. The buffaloes, though they were not wild, were not afraid of the panther or even of the tiger. They knew the panther was afraid of their massive horns and that the tiger preferred the flesh of the deer. One day, there were several sambars at the water's edge. Sambar is a type of deer at the edge of the water, but they did not stay long. The scent of the tiger came with the breeze, and there was no mistaking its strong feline odor. The deer held their heads high for a few moments, their nostrils twitching, and then scattered into the forest, disappearing behind a screen of leaf and bamboo. Very nicely described. When the tiger arrived, there was no other animal near the water. But the birds were still there. The egrets continued to wade in the shallows, and a kingfisher darted low over the water, dived suddenly a flash of blue and gold, and made off with a slim silverfish, which glistened in the sun like a polished gem. A long brown snake glided in and out among the water lilies and disappeared beneath a fallen tree which lay rotting in the shallows. The tiger waited in the shelter of a rock, his ears pricked up for the least unfamiliar sound. He knew that it was at that place that men sometimes sat up for him with guns, for they coveted his beauty, his stripes, and the gold of his body, his fine teeth, his whiskers, and his noble head. They would have liked to hang his skin on a wall, with his head stuffed and mounted, and pieces of glass replacing the fierce eyes. Then they would have boasted of their triumph over the king of the jungle. Very sad. The tiger had encountered hunters before, so he did not usually show himself in the open during the day. But of late, he had heard no guns, and if there were hunters around, you would have heard their guns. For a man with a gun cannot resist letting it off, even if it is only at a rabbit or at another man. And besides, the tiger was thirsty. He was also feeling quite hot. It was March, and the shimmering dust haze of summer had come early. Tigers, unlike other cats, are fond of water, and on a hot day will wallow in it for hours. He walked into the water, in amongst the water lilies, and drank slowly. He was seldom in a hurry when he ate or drank. Other animals might bolt down their food, but they are only other animals. A tiger is a tiger, and he has his dignity to preserve, even though he isn't aware of it. He raised his head and listened, one paw suspended in the air. A strange sound had come to him on the breeze, and he was wary of strange sounds. So he moved swiftly into the shelter of the tall grass that bordered the jail and climbed a hill